Good morning, everyone. Thank you. It's great to be here in Grand Rapids. It's just a short 45-minute drive from my home in Grand Ledge. And wanted to, first of all, just say a little bit about my background in this talk. You know, looking at the agenda and looking at the topics that you're going to be hearing about the next 2 days, this is a little bit different. You know, most of the topics are around the technical. I think of we think of people, process, and technology, right? And most of them are around the technology and how you grow in that area, and you're here for that. A lot about process, and this is really more on the people side. So I want to let you know where I'm coming from before I start off and kind of tee this up, what we're going to cover in the next 45 minutes. And then I want to open up to some questions, maybe take about 10 minutes of questions from the audience. I am the Chief Security Officer for the state of Michigan. My background is I started at the National Security Agency in Washington, spent about 6 years there, was in England for 7 years with Lockheed Martin and Mantech in the intelligence community, been in state government in a wide variety of roles, with CISO, I'm CSO now, with CTO, Michigan Director of Technology back in the 2000 time when we launched Michigan.gov. So that's my background. I only tell you that for this reason. What we're going to cover today is really some things that I wrote a couple years ago when I became CTO in Michigan. And I went from the security team over to the infrastructure team, the technology team. And as I was there and I listened to the director of networks and data centers and a lot of different people, I looked at what are the things that make security pros successful. And what are the things that are causing them to fail? What the good, the bad, and the ugly in the careers that help you in your success? So I'm going to start off with just a quick question. How many of you are students? Raise your hand. A lot of, okay, maybe a third students. How many of you been in the IT security field for up to maybe 5 to 10 years? Raise your hand. A lot. Okay. How many more than 10 years? Good. Well, hopefully, wherever you're at, I want to take you, okay, you're in the room today. You're obviously at a hacker conference. You got a lot of technical knowledge. And I want to tell you, walk you through, the standard checklist isn't enough. 7 surprising problems that are sabotaging your program and your career and your teams. Because teams and security teams fundamentally are made up of what? People. So, what got you in the room today? You know, traditional views of security and how you can, get a security job. Whatever you want to look at, I want to be a CSO in 5 years. I want to be the head director of this. I want to be a better hacker. Whatever it is you want to do, and you want to obviously, hopefully, make more money, grow in the career, maybe work for other companies, maybe work for a 3-letter agency in Washington, maybe get a clearance. Whatever those goals are, and I think we all have goals. We typically think of, okay, well, I need a degree, or I need multiple degrees. Maybe I need a master's degree. How many of you have certifications? Raise your hand. Okay, most of you. So you get certifications. And maybe the job you have now requires you to have certifications. Or you have a CISM or CISSP, or you're coming to security conferences. Some people say, I want a job where I can go and there's executive level buy-in. The management gets it. There's kind of a joke in the CSO community that says, I want the security job right after a major breach. I want the top job. Because what happens? The last guy got fired, you walk in, management's all ticked off, right? And they want to give you the money. So here's the budget, we got to fix this, and you're the guy to fix it. Sounds good. But I've seen people with executive buy-in, with all the things on this list, fail miserably. And I've seen others that have nothing on this list and do very well. They're self-trained, they're great hackers, they know what they're doing, and they're very, very well respected in the industry. So, what are the things that I saw as I look at this topic? And by the way, just in case you want to learn more about this, you can go to CSO Magazine or just Google the topic, Why Security Pros Fail. It'll pop right up. There's a blog series on this where I go into detail on it, and there's also an overview article that was the front cover of CSO Magazine a few years back. So you can read more about this if you want to learn some of the background on this topic. So number one, some of these you may have heard. they become kind of cliches in the industry, but I want to explain them a little bit. Security pros are known as disablers. They're the ones who say no. We can't do that. And then you've heard the corollary. We need to be enablers, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But I want to start off with a story and tell you how I learned this very personally in my career. So the year was 2004. Go back about 8 years. I was about a year in as CISO in Michigan. Terry Takai was the CIO at the time. Terry Takai, many of you may know Terry. She was CIO in Michigan for 4 years under Governor Granholm. She went on to be CIO in California under Arnold Schwarzenegger, and then she's gone on from there. She's now the CIO in the Department of Defense. So $35 billion budget currently, Terry has. So Terry was the boss. We were in the conference room, and the topic was wireless. And the executives around the table, we all had this staff meeting, and Terry said, the topic was, we're going to put wireless in all the different conference rooms in the complex across state government, like 20 to 30 conference rooms. And I was supposed to be evaluating this as the CISO. So my team had done their research, and I was armed to, I had all the white papers. I looked at NSA, CIA, DIA, all the three-letter agencies in Washington. I had, all the background. I'd even gone to NIST. I'd gone to all these different websites. What did they say? Wireless is a bad idea. Can't do wireless. Why? War driving. Anybody done any war driving? War driving, you can hack into it. It's not secure. It's not encrypted. It's not this. It's not that. I had all the information to back me up. The checklists, the white papers, the sheets, the cheat sheets, the articles, the headlines, the executive summaries, and they were all stacked up, and I was handing them out to people. This is why we can't do wireless. So what happened? Terry, who I would tell you, I have tremendous respect for Terry. She was an outstanding executive and leader. She says, at the time, everyone leave the room but Dan. So they all walked out of the room. This was very uncomfortable. And she looks me in the eye, and the door's closed, and she said, Dan, if that's your answer, you can't be CISO in Michigan. And I said, what? And she said, you can't be CISO if you're going to have that view. And I said, why? And she said, I had just come from Dow, Chrysler, GM, and Ford. And they all have wireless in their conference rooms. So what do they know that you don't know? I'm going to give you 1 week. You go figure it out and come back. And then we'll decide if you're going to be the CISO in Michigan. So guess what I did? I'm not going to finish the whole story, but the bottom line is, it was a let's just say a paradigm shift for me. And it really began a journey over about a couple-year period about how I approach this. And this idea that, we're known as the party poopers many times. And that I understand as some people have written blogs against on this topic and said there are times that, just like a policeman pulls somebody over on the road, there are times when CISOs have to say no. I get that. But by and large, the answer should be we're coming in, we stop saying no, and be known as enablers. No as somebody, are you bringing problems or are you bringing solutions? Are you coming to the table with 10 reasons why we can't do something, or are you looking around and finding out how other people are doing it and then bringing that to your team, to your management, to your business areas? Are you someone who is seen as an enabler or as a disabler? And I understand, just like a policeman pulls people over on the road, we all have felt that feeling, the red light, pull them over to the side, we're not too happy to have policemen at that moment, right? But we would all say that is a role for them. And there are times when you have to kindly say that may not be the best answer. But bottom line, we have to be enablers. So that's the first area. Number 2. Security pros are known as one-size-fits-all types of professionals. What does that mean? It's either encrypted or it's not. It's secure or it isn't. Either it's, check the box, it's done or it isn't done. And the challenge is a lot of times, and I gave an example earlier, it's funny, even when something like cloud computing came out or different technologies come out, now the latest one, a lot of talk about BYOB, bring your own device to work, BYOD. Some people call it bring your own disaster, and all the security magazines are saying why this won't work. And yet everybody else in technology magazines are saying, you know, go for it. Cloud computing, same kind of a thing. So the question is, when you offer a solution, so you go to a business meeting, and you say, here's the architecture, and you say, okay, you sit back, you kind of watch, listen, let them all present their stuff, and you say, okay, all right, fine, we can do this, but we've got to buy XYZ product with these 14 different, things. I've done this research. I don't like it, but, okay, fine. You've got past number one. I'm going to be an enabler, so here's how you do it. Boom. And everybody in the room looks at you and says, oh my goodness, that's going to cost $1 million. This is a $100,000 project. How are we going to do that? Isn't there another way? Oh, no, there's not. One way to do it. I'm being an enabler. I learned that lesson. I'm telling you we can do it. But again, it's perceived by the business side as what? You're disabling again. Why? Because you're giving me $1 million solution to a $100,000 problem. I mean, an interesting one, just give a practical example. Google, how many of you use Gmail? So Gmail just came out with a solution. If you're worried about people getting into your Gmail account from multiple PCs, they now have a way that you can turn on an added level of security for free that will send you a text, a 6-digit PIN, if somebody tries to access your account from a different computer that's not trusted. I turn that on my computer. Simple little thing, but guess what? Two-factor, right? Because now it's sending you something you know for free versus something you have, or something, two factors, something you have and something you know. So bottom line is, second point, offer alternatives. Gold, silver, bronze approach. That is, think about flying to California, Chicago to LA. We typically have 3 options. You can fly coach, you can fly business, you can fly first class. All will get you there safely, but maybe a very different experience along the way. Now, that may not work in security, every analogy, but there usually are multiple different approaches. There may be a best way, but maybe your business can't afford that. Offer alternatives, maybe different companies, maybe different options, and help management understand the good, the bad, and the ugly about each option. They're taking more risk if you go with the bronze approach, but maybe they're willing to take the risk, right? So, something to consider. Give them the full scope, cost, functionality, risk, but offer options. Be seen as somebody who's a trusted consultant, who's bringing options to the business. Number 3, humble pie. So another perception of professionals, and again, where did I get this list? I largely got this list, and I ran it by a whole variety of people, both within government, but private sector around the country. I had a chance to travel around the world. Ran it by people in South Africa and Europe and other places. And then these were the common perceptions. Security staff, dare I say it, I'm going to say the word, are arrogant. Arrogant, what does that mean? They come into meetings, and they just kind of, they got the trump card. Whatever you say, whatever you do, they're going to slap that puppy down at the right moment in the meeting. They're just kind of like, is this somebody who's a partner of mine, or is it somebody who's like the other guy in the room that nobody talks to? That kind of a perception. The thing I would say here is this: why do we have security? Think about this a minute. Why do we have security? At a very basic level, many of us work for a wide variety of businesses here in Grand Rapids and all over, maybe Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, wherever you come from, Illinois. And you're there because we're trying to do what? We're trying to do government services. We're trying to run an airline. We're trying to get people from A to B. We're trying to sell a product. We're trying to whatever. Security is a service as well, okay? Keeping that in mind, it seems obvious, but a lot of security pros, especially after you go to tons and tons of security conferences and hang around with security people all day, often come across as always right and not understanding the bigger picture. So I think the challenge here is professional excellence, be good at what you do. That's why you're here at this conference, learning the latest techniques, understanding how people are hacking into your systems. I mean, that's great. You need that. That's why you're here. But also knowing that whatever you promise, and I've seen people do this. I've been in meetings where people say, you know, you give me this product. I promise you. Oh no, I'm worried already. I'm scared. Because I hear that too often. In 1 year, we'll never be hacked again. Really? The bad guys are out there getting better all the time. They're learning. Whatever walls you're putting up, whatever security protections you're putting up, they're going to try and get around those. And they're always going to be creating new ways of trying to break in, right? So, knowing that the bad guys are getting better and that they're continually trying to improve, be careful of what you promise, and know that, look at blind spots. So how do you see what your blind spots are? One of the ways I do that is I try and ask people. You know, every one of us, we don't get along with everybody. You have best friends and good friends, and hopefully you get along with most people in the enterprise. But there are going to be people that you perceive as maybe, I don't want to say adversaries, but maybe people in the organization that you don't, maybe not your best friends. Find the ones that you respect, but maybe have a difference of opinion on you. Ask them. Get together for lunch and ask, what can I do to have the right professional perspective so people listen to me, get different perspectives, and trust me to provide a balanced solution. Number 4. This leads right into that last one. A lot of people, I see this a lot with our teams. Some of our own staff are here in the room, and they can relate to some of this. We have a security team, and they're liaisons, and they're working. And a lot of times, I hear people say this, and I've said it before too, so I'm not immune to this. You come out of the big meeting for the big new $100 million project, and you're like, security is an afterthought. These people don't understand. They don't know what they don't know. The customer is clueless. They don't know what they're doing. They don't understand that if this Medicaid system gets hacked, the world's going to come to an end. They don't, that's the mentality. And so then it creates a divide almost between the customer and the security team. I've seen this in most organizations in America today. It's unusual that security team is a total equal partner at the table during those big requirements meetings where they're building the $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, $100 million, $300 million, billion-dollar projects. I've heard about this. Friends at DHS, DOD, NSA, same kind of discussions. So that's the elephant in the room. The problem is they've got the money, they've got the budget, the project manager works for them, and by the way, you're on that team. So are you always going to be the guy sitting by yourself or woman sitting by yourself who's not a part of the team? So what do? Do lunch. Do lunch. Literally, go out with people. I tell people, one person I know, and I'm not going to name names, worked for a team. And I said, does your company have a softball team? He said, yeah. I said, you ever played on it? No. I like softball. You like softball? Yeah, I love softball. Play on the softball team. Get to know. Crazy advice, right? A security professional, the best thing you can do is play on the company softball team. Get to know the business. Get to know the other people in the room. Go do lunch with those other people that you're working. Meet with your customers. Sit down with them. This is 101 stuff for marketing, right? This may not be rocket science. If you were at a marketing conference or a sales conference, this is the first thing they do. It's all about lunch. It's all about the relationships. Unfortunately for security pros, this is alien to a lot of people. So they don't have the relationships in the business, and therefore they aren't very successful. Build trust. I mean, there was an article in CSO and CIO Magazine of a few years back that said, forget security, just build trust. I don't agree with that. I don't think you should just forget the security. But the point is, it's a good point. The point is trust. Are you trusted? And that leads right into the next topic. Hackers. Undervalue ethics and accountability. I want to read something. So this was from an interview I did. I'm not going to name names or give any hints about where this came from, but it was a real person. And they gave me their view of their job. The front lines of the net. That's where most of us spend our time. Life gets crazy out there, a virtual wild, wild west. Almost anything goes in cyberspace. I liken our online world to another American gold rush, the new frontier. It's true that history seems to repeat itself. We boldly go where others are afraid or ill-equipped to go. We're the white knights, the few, the proud, the ones willing to stick our necks out and get our virtual hands dirty. Or if you prefer, we're living in the 1930s Chicago all over again, with mob rule. There's minimal policing going on, and people often take matters into their own hands. It seems like an impossible task, but when the going gets tough, you'll find out what you're made of. We do what we do to survive in this dog-eat-dog digital world. We didn't create the situation. I'm not happy that I was dealt this hand, but I'm making the most of it. It is what it is. Somebody needs to protect the homestead, right? Truth be told, things are getting worse out there. Cyber ethics? Hello. Most hackers I know think those two words are an oxymoron. Rules are for kids or people we need to keep in a box. What? Policies? Are you kidding me? Those rules don't apply to us. Sure, pros understand that children need to be protected, child porn is wrong, and yada, yada, yada. But beyond that, I don't have time for lectures. But let me tell you something. We're dealing with experts, hardened criminals. We fight fire with fire, baby. Look, this is the big leagues, not some single-A farm team out there in the bushes. We're not in some global game of Halo. We've got real work to do. The bad guys are getting dangerous, real dangerous. They don't understand our civil, respectful way of life. They just keep hitting us hard. Sure, it's tough. I'm tired. There are no timeouts. We get a little sleep when we have time, but then we're right back on it. We have to be right every time. Cyberspace never sleeps. This is war, baby. Cyber war. All is fair in love and war. Now, there's a group here, probably won't want to raise hands or ask questions, that's their view. That's their kind of their worldview. This is what I want to say about cyber ethics. You know, you could talk there are whole conferences on this topic, but I just want to say a few things. The better you get at what you do, you learn what the hackers do, you're learning the techniques in these next 2 days, you're perfecting your craft. You're understanding the underworld. You're understanding the attackers. The better you get at what you do, the more you learn, the more skills you develop, the more you're going to be tempted. And what do I mean by tempted? Tempted to go to quote unquote the dark side. And what I mean by that is this, that think of somebody who's arresting FBI, arresting drug addicts, drug lords, whatever it might be. And they find a stash of cocaine. They find a stack of money sitting there on the table. And they're tempted to take some. Nobody's looking. Stack of $100 bills. I'm only making, oh man, I'm not making enough. Tough, man. You know, there it is. Nobody's looking. Same thing in the cyber world. It's a slippery slope. Cyber ethics is key. And I see people, you say, you know, we're exempt from the rules. Why? We are, we're the administrators. We're overseeing this stuff. We have to do A, B, and C. I understand that. You have a job to do, and you're an expert at doing it. Great, wonderful. But do you take it to the next level? Do you then say, well, I don't have to, those rules about visiting inappropriate sites, those rules about looking at files. Yeah, of course, I take a peek at, who just got promoted, how much so-and-so got for their raise, and before you know it, slippery slope. And they find themselves down a road. Now, why do I say this? People fail. I've seen people in state government walked out of the buildings with handcuffs on. I've seen it. Respected pros arrested, in jail, felonies. Yes. And the thing is, it's always somebody else, right? Who's worse? We all compare ourselves to Hitler, we all look good. There's always somebody worse than us, so we never have a problem in this area. So what do I recommend? I say, do you steal files but call it downloading? Do you bend the rules, acceptable use? Insider threat. Are you an insider threat to your company? Really? I've seen people bring down a company, an organization, a reputation, of a whole group because you get a bad apple. Couple advice. I'm going to talk a little bit this more at the end. Find a mentor. Find somebody you trust who's maybe older, maybe more advanced in the industry. Be accountable to them. And I want to talk about accountability for just a second. People, I think, in our society have the view that accountability is for losers. If I'm good enough, I don't need to be accountable to anybody. I'm a Lone Ranger. Back to the story. I'm Wild Wild West, man. I'm out there. It's me against everybody. It's me in the prairie, cyber prairie. Problem with that is, think about life. The best quarterbacks in football have a football coach. The best quarterbacks, and they have somebody who holds them accountable. Did you do the exercise? Did you throw the ball 50 times a day? Did you do this? Did you do that? The best musicians, the best of the best, get to be what? Accountable. I'm really good. I'm the best at the University of Michigan. And guess what? I get to now be under the top pianist in all of North America. And I'm going to go be with them for 6 months. Right? Right? The hackers know this. The bad guys know this. The dark side knows this. I'm going to go work with this person. He's the best hacker in the world. I'm going to be what? Accountable to that guy. You need that on the positive side as well. We need to be accountable. I need to be accountable. CSO, state of Michigan, I need to be accountable. And people don't think that way. That's foreign to probably most of you. Maybe not all. But I'm just saying, having a mentor, having somebody you talk to, practice virtual integrity. I wrote a book called Virtual Integrity. I'm not going to push that. But if you want to go read it, I talk about this in a lot of detail, cyber ethics. I think it's very, very important. I've seen it bring down entire programs and individuals and careers. People who are very, very good blow it. So what do I mean by that? A word about integrity. We all talk about integrity. We need integrity. You know, it's the elephant in the room, doing the right thing when no one else is looking. We talk about core values, ethics, integrity, professionalism, honesty, excellence, respect, responsibility. How do you do these things in cyberspace? I'm not going to give you an answer today to this. You got to figure that out, what your values are. I'm not trying to impose values on you. But whatever your values are, I challenge you to have a mentor and be accountable to your teammates and ask them whether or not you're living up to what your standards are. And constantly ask this, because otherwise you'll be going down that cyber ethics slippery slope. You know, we talk about some cartoons here, you know. For me, it was an embarrassing YouTube video, unemployment due to stupid personal stuff I put on my Facebook page. You know, we talk about reputation. You all in this room are way beyond this, but I mean, clearly there's a lot of self-destructive behavior that's going to hurt your career. What do you have to lose? You got your job, you've got your career, you put a lot of time into it. Like I said, I've seen people that were fired. I've got a family that relies on me for an income. I have 4 kids. I have an example I'm giving. I've got my bachelor's degree, my master's degree. I put all this time in, and I could sacrifice my future. I think about this every day, because I've seen people blow it for 10 to 15 to 30 minutes in cyberspace. I've seen it. Give it all up. Boom. Marriage, family, divorce, whatever it might be. Again, you have to decide where that line is. Number 6. Burnout. Now, I'll say this. One thing about this job, how many of you have seen Die Hard 4? Die Hard 4. It's great, you know, there's a lot of good cyber movies out there, and a lot of people get into this field because they have that view. That's what it's like to be in cyber, to be in this business. Is, Bruce Willis, and, he meets the hacker kid that, he's got all these different friends that are in the, hacker world, and they kind of bring down the infrastructure in Washington, D.C., et cetera. And in the state of Michigan, over the last 10 years, almost every year we've had some major incident, everything from the power outage, but to major malware outbreaks, major incidents where our team is in there. Some of the people in this room have been in our kind of bunker, our bat cave for, 4 18-hour days or maybe a week, just, nonstop, literally throwing pizza over the wall because they're just, doing stuff that needs to be done to protect the enterprise. I'm not talking about that. Some of you love that stuff. I actually enjoy it too. My family doesn't like it so much, but it's almost like a rush because you're in this. Now, as I say in my blog, in those cases, usually afterwards management, there's, thank you for saving the enterprise, and, it's kind of like Star Wars, there's an award given, and everybody gets some kind of bonus or some kind of, certificate from the governor, and, we all march up on the stage and take a week off or whatever. That is part of the job. What I see happening with a lot of cyber pros is they lack a sense of work-life balance. And this is a challenge, and I don't want to belabor this point. We all have to figure out what this is for ourselves, whether it be exercise, eating right, those kinds of things. Again, this is basic working 101. But I think what people miss is this, in the cyber world, the security world, is they think they're in a sprint. They think they're in a 1 mile, they're in the 100-yard dash, or maybe they're in the quarter mile or the mile. I mean, if I ran a marathon, I'm not a marathon runner, I do run, but I'll tell you, if I ran as fast as I could probably keep up with a lot of the Grand Rapids Marathon group for about 2 miles, maybe. And then I'd collapse. I mean, I'd be on the ground. And they just keep going, right? They got 25 miles to go. That's the problem, is people are sprinting. And so from an executive perspective, what does this look like from a CSO? It looks like this. I've seen people who were superstars for 6 months. Then they just, I love sports. You watch sports. Somebody, a baseball player, you see this every now and then. A rookie comes in. Wow, that guy's incredible. Batting .380, 40 home runs. And then all of a sudden, pew, off the radar. Just, 180, everybody's, the league figured out he can't hit a curveball, right? And now just falls off the radar. Nobody ever hears from him again. Happens in cyber world. So what does that look like? Look for warning signs. Again, have friends ask you. Stress will come at seasons. Prepare for that. Think of your career as a marathon. Have a strategy. Be willing to adjust and stick with it. So there's some tips in the blog about how to do work-life balance. But think about that. Sometimes I just say take a step back. And again, I'm looking broader here than just your job and your career. I'm looking at family. I'm looking at, what are you involved in the community? I'm involved in my church. Different people are involved in different things. I mean, and I've seen this be a problem for people. Number 7, too much inside the box thinking. So let me read you something. This is, how many of you have heard of the Pareto principle before? A few. Some of you probably know it as the 80-20 rule. But it says this, and it's true and it works. John C. Maxwell has a book on Leadership 101, what every leader needs to know, and I think what every cybersecurity or hacker needs to know as well. 20% of your time produces 80% of the results. 20% of the people take up 80% of your time. 20% of your work gives 80% of your job satisfaction. 20% of the people will make up 80% of the decisions. 20% of the presentation produces 80% of the impact, which means most of you in this room are going to remember 20% of this and you're going to forget 80% of it. Okay? I understand that. That's the way it is. That's what the 80-20 rule is. He goes on and on and on. It's a great list of stuff, 20% of the people eat 80% of the food. 20%, I mean, it goes on and on and on. But it's true. And 80% do 20%. So the challenge is to look at your role and what you're doing now, and maybe you're very, very good at it, but think about where you want to be, talking 5 years out, 8 years out, 10 years out, is move beyond your position description. So first and foremost, I want to say this. You got to respect the box placed around your position description. So what do I mean by that? I start off by telling people that you have a position description. You have a job. Every one of us has a job. I have a job. If you don't do the basic things in that job, you will be viewed as lazy, and you will be viewed in the enterprise as somebody who's not productive. And that we all know people, bottom line, right? We know people that are great. They're running the fun team. They're doing this. They're doing that. They're all over the corporation, but they're not doing their job. So you don't want this to be a problem. So you need to know this. Respect the box and make sure your boss and the people around you believe you're doing a competent job at your basic duties. Kind of goes without saying, right? But then, Raise your hand and volunteer. Generate new ideas. When an idea fails, try it again. Think outside your organization. Join external groups. You're here, right? Build teamwork skills. Be the go-to person for answers. Share knowledge and solutions. This is how you get promoted. This is how you get your boss's job. This is how you move on. You're the person that people go to for ideas. People think, and I'm telling you, it's true of a lot of hackers, not all. It's true of cyber experts. I got to keep this myself. It's me. It's me in the cyberspace, right? We need to work as teams together. Share knowledge. My brother said something to me once I think is pretty profound. I don't know where he got it from. I think I attribute it to my brother Steve, but it might have been somebody else. And he's about 12 years older than me. He lives in Maryland. He's worked for about 10 different computer companies in his life. And he's been a salesman all of his life, technical sales. Multi-millionaire, big house. So he's one of these guys, you say 95% of the people make 5% of the money, 5% make 95% of the money. My brother Steve's in the 5%. I mean, everywhere he's, been, Steve has, been on the Platinum Club, going to Tenerife, going to the Great Barrier Reef, going all over the place. And he says this about sales. And we're all in sales, by the way, whether you believe it or not. You sell your ideas, you sell your skill set, you're selling your abilities to those around you. We're in sales. Steve says, this is what you need. It's 5 things. The right idea, or the right product, whatever it is, at the right time, with the right price, and the right salesman, and the right person you're trying to sell to. There are different renditions of this, but it's got to be the right person, the right place, the right time, the right salesman. So what does that look like? I have a great idea. Somebody up here in the front row needs to buy a watch. It's a great watch. It's an awesome watch. It's just what they're looking for. It is a great price. I like them, they like me, and they say, Dan, I can't buy it. Why? I just bought one last week. Wrong time. Right? Or great product. Great product. Great salesman, wrong price. Too expensive. I can't afford that. I can't pay for that. That's too much. Or, what do they say? Great product, great price, right time. That guy is a blankety blank blank. I am not buying anything from him. Wrong person. Right product, right price. Wrong person. So why do I tell you that? Only from this. We got to think in these terms as far as your ideas. Many of you in this room, and I mean this, many of you in this room have great ideas that could help your company. Great security ideas. You're thinking of something right now. Maybe you're even thinking of starting your own business. You've got a great idea, but you know something? You say, well, I tried that a year ago. I tried that 2 years ago, and nobody listened to me. And I'm not ever going to go to my boss again, never bring that up again. Why? Maybe it was the wrong time. Are you the right person to deliver the message? Do they trust you? Are you the trusted messenger? Maybe you need to get a friend to help you. All I'm saying is think in these terms, because these are the things that I see impacting people's careers. Now, some of you are probably thinking is basic stuff, but I'm trying to help you in your career. This is about helping you individually and your teams be successful, because I see this stuff limiting people. I see it limiting. Why aren't they making that decision? It was so obvious that we need those new firewalls. Why is management not buying that equipment? I don't understand what's going on here. What the heck is happening? Really? Really? What did you do last week to that person? No wonder they're not listening to you. I got no relationship with this team. Nobody knows who you are. We don't trust you. Are you delivering the right message? These are the things I see happening, okay? So I'm just trying to go with that. A couple quick things, I'll take some questions. So hopefully you've got questions. In about 5 minutes here, I'm going to open it up to some Q&A. These aren't in the blogs, but I would just challenge you to measure your success. If you think you got these things nailed, and by the way, when I do a wrap-up here in a second, I know that everyone in this room doesn't have all these 7 issues. If you walk away with 1 or 2 of these things to work on, I think it will be a success. I'm not trying to say that everybody's got all these problems. That is not my point today, okay? I need to improve in these areas. These are areas we can all improve in. But my point is that pick 1 or 2 and work on it. Measure yourself. Do you benchmark your team? Do you benchmark your career? Do you look at the people around you? I was just down at GE yesterday. I got a chance to spend some time down in their new facility down there in Ypsilanti. Wow. Awesome team. They're at 850. They're going to go to 1,400 people. If you're looking for a job, GE's hiring like crazy. They said they can't find enough good security people. So, I mean, they're hiring. So, the guys are laughing in the back. Are they from GE? Okay. So, give yourself, your team, an honest appraisal. Establish partnerships. So, what do I mean by this, real quickly? Look, it's tough out there and many people unemployed. We can't do everything well, nor should we try. So for Michigan security team, I'm not going to talk about this. I was asked what to speak about, and I offered up some other things. What's Michigan doing about security? That's a whole other presentation. I was asked to really speak to you about your career and these topics today. But we need to partner with others. We partner with universities. We partner with Department of Homeland Security. We partner with other states. We partner with law enforcement. We partner with the FBI. We partner with the department, right down the list. We've had other governments in other countries call us. Can we partner? So the point is this. I'll give you one example. Threat intelligence. We don't do it very well. We're working now with the FBI and Department of Homeland Security. We're going to be doing some things with some private sector companies in the next few months. So the point is, working together, we can be more effective. And I think it kind of goes without saying, but again, it's a mindset. You will not be able to take on the People's Republic of China by yourself. It's not going to work. Not that they're always our enemies. There's a lot of friends that are Chinese. But I'm just saying, there are very organized groups that are attacking our enterprises. And we have got to partner with them, with others around us. I talked about mentors, benefits of a mentor. I'm not going to dive into this, but there's a lot of benefits. If you've never even thought of this before, go out and spend 15 minutes about mentors, having a mentor. One thing they've shown, a lot of statistics out there, and this is all kind of soft stuff, but it's pretty amazing when you look at the numbers. I mean, hard numbers. That if you have a mentor, you're like 3 times more likely to get promoted. You're 3 times more likely to achieve your career goals. You're 5 times more likely. I mean, it's right down the list. There's studies on this stuff, okay? I'm not making this up. This stuff is out there. You can research the numbers. Being a mentor, and some of you may say, well, Dan, come on. I'm going to retire in 3 years. I'm beyond that. I'm at the twilight of my career. I want to hit the golf course. Well, maybe you could mentor somebody else. Maybe you could mentor someone in this room that's young, who's just starting their career, and you could help them and pass on the legacy to someone else. Give back, sharing knowledge, increases your own self-worth. David Bean, my boss, CIO for the state, he often talks about reverse mentoring, bringing in 20-something people to help executives understand, things like social media and kind of the new, I think that's a pretty cool idea as well. So it's a two-way street. I think mentors gain from it as well. Leads to personal and professional satisfaction. There's organizational benefits. It's really ultimately a win-win. It really shows that you're thinking about the future. So I want to just wrap up by saying, really, it's wherever you're at in your career. This is the last slide. We'll take some questions. Wherever you're at in your career, take an honest assessment of yourself and look at these 7 areas. Do people see you as a disabler? Be known as an enabler. Stop saying no. Make things happen. Offer solutions. You always hear that. Do you bring me, executives, are you bringing me problems or are you bringing me solutions? That's a common statement. You probably all heard it 50 times. But it's very basic. People come to me, we got a big issue, Dan. I love to hear, I know exactly what we need to do. Here's why. Here's the support I need. Here's what I need to get this taken care of. Love it. Go get her. Not enough alternative solutions. Research. What are other people around you doing? Are you really the first one in the world doing this? Probably not. Who's doing it around you? Can I learn from them? I don't want to say plagiarize, but can I call somebody as a partner and use what they're doing? Can I learn from them? Not enough humble pie, genuine humility, professional excellence. The customer is clueless. Are they really clueless? Maybe you should go do lunch with them. What do they know that you don't know? They probably know something you don't know. Prove the relationship, build trust. Are you an insider threat? Think about your ethics. It's a slippery slope. Maybe you're fine now, but you're heading in the wrong direction. Maybe you need a course adjustment there. Are you burned out? Perseverance and work-life balance. Remember, your career is a marathon, not a sprint. It doesn't end when you're 30. It's going to go on. Think long-term. And then if your perspective is stuck in the box, move beyond your position description, build teamwork skills, enlarge your network in the industry. You're here today. That's good. What got you in the room isn't enough to be successful. You need to look in the mirror and recognize that you are the biggest hurdle. Make yourself a member of the team. Step back, be honest, and start your journey. Okay, let's take some questions. We got 10 minutes maybe? 5 minutes? First question's the hardest. Yeah, question there. Sure. So the question was about political aware. I presume you're not talking political Democratic Republican, you're talking office politics. So, I mean, some of you are involved in politics. I'm going to kind of leave that out of the speech today, you know, whoever you're going to vote for president or whatever. But the office politics, sure, you're absolutely right. I mean, clearly picking the right mentor is key. I mean, you know, knowing somebody who you respect, who's respected in the industry, somebody who you feel like you watch the way, you know, hopefully you know them, or you've watched them in the industry and you respect them, and who has demonstrated, I would say, through their career that they are successful and they have successfully navigated the politics. Because you're absolutely right. I mean, it is a challenge. It is a challenge in government. It's a challenge in the private sector. There's always office politics going on. And I think just one other thing I'd say on this, that's the kind of frank solution that a mentor can do. Because the thing I've seen with my mentors is I can pick up the phone and just say, let's chat. Let's talk about this. And it's not based upon do they know this fact or that fact. They can look it up on the internet. I'm not talking about, you know, how do you hack this or hack that. I mean, I'm talking about somebody who can help you with your career, who you trust, who you can have a very open, honest conversation. But I certainly agree with you. You got to pick the right mentor, and you've got to have somebody who has demonstrated, has a track record of success, right? You know, so, you know, in professional sports, you pick somebody who has been there, done that. You know, if you're a quarterback, you're picking somebody who's been an All-American quarterback.